very good on both sides of the ball, well coached. So it'll be a real challenge. We're looking forward to it and just looking to improve. I thought we made some strides last week to improve our team, and we're looking to do the same thing again this week.
Mark, what's the key against Teddy Bridgewater?
He's just very good at what he does. He has a great feel in the pocket. He eludes the pressure when and where he needs to, and the rest of the time he sits in there and distributes the football. But he's very athletic and he's very live. He's just very fast. He's very quick with everything he does. Very, very good delivery and gets the ball there in a hurry. And again, he eludes the pressure when he has to.
With your quarterbacks, you obviously rotated them fast and furious there all throughout that game. Neil said he did most of that on sort of gut instinct, obviously, other than the scripted first series. What did you think of how that rotation worked?
Well, I liked it. And, you know, I think Neil had a great feel for that, and it may be what the quarterbacks needed a little bit as well, you know, just to eliminate a little bit of pressure from them. And, you know, they both have their strengths, like we said, and our offense has some good packages with both of them. Obviously, our offense can run the same with a good percentage of it with either quarterback, but then they each have their strengths as well.
When you talk about the limitations you have, but how much of an equalizer is sort of the element of surprise, the curveball of having guys that do two different things and coming at you at such a pace?
I think it helps. I do think it helps with that pace, like you talked about. The tempo in general is difficult at times if you're executing. And that's the big thing, is execution. And we've talked a lot about that and not getting behind the chains and all those good things. So it still comes down to just executing well.
When Jonathan he talked about the new guys get here, they talked to him about the basics of Kentucky football. One of those basics is beating Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of what you would like them emphasizing and talking about?
Well, like I said early on, we know it's important. It's very important to myself, this team, our program, the fans, and everybody. It's very important. But we'll be in a lot of big games here, we hope. You know, as we improve this program and keep on making those steps and getting better and better, we'll be in a lot of big games in the SEC.
Coach Bud said that he has to change up a little of his pass rush techniques when going up against a mobile quarterback. When going up against Jalen, similar athleticism benefit them?
It will. It helps in certain ways. It does help, you know, with how quick they are, you know, getting out of the pocket. But you know, it could help. And, you know, we do go against them, but it's not, you know, that much here during the game week, you know. But we will. Again, we'll go against them in 7-on-7, which there'll be no rush, and in team periods as well for about 12 to 15 plays a day.
Where are you guys health-wise this week, whatever you're willing to say?
I think we're getting better. We're in decent shape. There's no complaints. I think everybody's a little bit banged up.
Coach, penalty-wise, how do you go about fixing that throughout the week?
Yeah, just keep on stressing it. You know, we've got to get some of that cleaned up, and you know, some of it we're trying to be more aggressive, but that doesn't mean lose your sense and do silly things out there. We're not good enough to overcome bad decisions, so keep on working on that.
What does the Louisville running game look like when they're back?
They're good. They're physical. Their O-line is good, and that's what you know. You start watching their team in depth. They're good across the board. They really are. I think they do a nice job of keeping you off balance, and they run it. They threaten you with their run game, and they love taking their shots and their play actions off of it because they're very skilled at wide receiver, and Bridgewater does a heck of a job with the play fakes and then getting the ball down the field. That's always, as from a defensive coach, you know, through all the years, and when I get all the defensive questions as I've been a defense coordinator, always the teams that threaten you are that are balanced. You know, the teams that could pound it and run the ball and have a physicality about them, and then they're skilled outside. You know, and can throw the ball and distribute the ball down the field as well. So that's what they do. They put you in a run-pass conflict all the time, and you know, they're good at what they do.
How do you feel you match up against Damian Copeland and Devontae Parker?
Well, it'll be a tough matchup. You know, obviously it's tough on a lot of people. You know, I'm sitting here watching film of last year. You know, again, they put you in that conflict. If you make you play with numbers, they can hurt you outside, and they do it to a lot of people. So they're pretty skilled.
What's the reputation of Deshaun Watson offense?
I don't know what over the years, I don't know, but I'm just looking at what they do there, and I see them very balanced and very talented. Like I said, just the things I just said. When they make you account for the run game, it opens things up.
Michael, what Miami did use as far as you had to change your defense at the last second, did that maybe do you a favor, help you along in your desire to get them to play assignment ball versus just going out on their own?
It did in that regard. It let us play a little bit simpler in line up and play, and I think you could see that we played a little bit more confident, a little bit more physical, and I think it helped in certain ways.
Mark, why do you think two-quarterback systems are generally still kind of rare, or have always been kind of rare?
Well, I think you'd like to. I think in a perfect world, with one quarterback, he gets in there and gets in the flow and gets the continuity going and the leadership and all those things that come with it.
Was there a time, thinking back in your defensive days, you remember a time where there was a team that had two quarterbacks that really gave you headaches in preparation?
I can't think of one right off the top of my head. Obviously, just watching quarterbacks who've had success, and Coach Spurrier through the years, and he's been successful, and I've heard him say, before, I don't know the exact words, but I mean, if you have to do it, you have to do it. I mean, that's just the situation we're in.
Mark, how important was Saturday's game, in the way that you won, give your youngsters a chance to grow up some?
Pardon me? This last game, did you say? Well, it did help. I think any time you could start and get some wins and have some success and play a lot of guys and let them get in there and get their feet wet, it helps an awful lot. I hope we continue to grow. I think I had a good feeling we would improve between week 1 and week 2, and I hope we improve the same amount between week 2 and week 3.
What was the biggest difference between Bud and Zadarius and what they were able to do this week versus last week?
Well, obviously we they were a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more stout, and we talked about those things last week about not doing too much, do your job well, and we took the one play at a time mentality, and we got to continue to do that. We need to execute each and every down the best we can.
Mark, when you were at FSU, did the winner of the FSU Florida game, did that impact recruiting? And do you think this game will impact recruiting both in the state and up in Ohio?
It didn't impact recruiting at Florida State, Florida. It really didn't. A lot of our guys were committed before that game, to be honest with you. But I don't know whether it'll impact recruiting or not. I really don't know. We have quite a few guys committed. I think they do too. So, yeah.
Your players were saying that you guys were tougher on them in practice this past week.
Mm-hmm.
You'd like to see it again this week. I assume that's the plan.
Well, absolutely. Well, it's just accountability. We're all accountable, and that's just it. Not getting ahead of ourselves. We need to improve this week. We need to get better today. We need to watch the film, correct our mistakes from this past Saturday, and move on. And again, get better. Get better with each rep, and making them more accountable to their actions.
Neil said along those lines that maybe week 1 or leading up to week 1, he was too worried about pumping
confidence.
The guys up, getting them confident, making them
right.
feel good about themselves, and he coached them a lot harder in week 2. Is that one of those things you learned too as a coaching staff about how to deal with your guys?
Well, absolutely, and I think it's always easier to have a tougher week this week. So if they thought last week was tough, we'll be more tough this week. So so it's always better to be harder on them after a win, and again, I said that after week 1. I mean, somebody mentioned it to me that one of the kids said they were overconfident or whatnot, and I mean that's just silly to me because we have such a long way to go, but that's where we're at. You have to educate them on everything, and that's your job to stay on them and just have them improve and understand the accountability that comes with it and the discipline that comes with it.
Mark, listen, DeMarco Robinson obviously had to hurt your special team somewhat.
It did.
How much can you improve with the guys you have to work with this year?
Well, I think we need to improve a great deal, and I think we will. I think we will be very clear on our rules on the basics of when to field a ball and when not to. And of course, I fully anticipate getting a lot of that ironed out.
When did you first hear about this UK-UL rivalry?
Obviously, just as a coach growing up watching it, it was a rivalry. Obviously, just from watching TV, and so that would probably be the first time.
Did you know Charlie
I've known Charlie for a while, yeah. I can't recall the first time we crossed paths or whatnot, but just being defensive guys, and I have a lot of respect for Charlie and what he's done, and have known him for a while.
How did he talk?
Pardon me?
How did your center talk? How did he play Saturday?
Yeah, I thought he did a nice job. We were pleased. I told you after the game that we made that decision last week, and we're going to continue to go with that. I think he's got an opportunity to grow into that position and take it over. Be a good player for us.
And what about basketball? How did he play at line?
He did a good job. He really did. He just tweaked, got a little. He got rolled up, but nothing major. He'll be fine. And we were pleased with him. We thought he did a nice job.
Do you think you'll have DeMarco back this week? I know that's such a
I'm not sure yet. I really don't know.
How are you feeling about your secondary now versus a couple weeks ago? I mean, you're going to get a pretty big test this week.
Big test this week, but I do feel like we're getting better in the secondary. The guys are working much harder. I think Cody will be back full speed this week, which will help. He was ready to go last week in an emergency situation. He was ready to go if we needed him. So I think he should be healthy and ready to go. That'll help give us a little bit of depth. But I think Nate is getting his legs underneath him, starting to get in shape and playing better. So I think we're improving there. And Fred, I think, has been working hard in technique-wise and just being more aggressive and just working harder to understand the game, and I've been pleased. Yeah.
Even in a big win like Saturday, it isn't always rainbows and sunshine. What kind of points of improvement do you want to make this week?
Well, the big thing is just discipline. The pre-snap penalties, the foolish penalties after we make a play. Obviously, we can't afford, but they're just execution. We were still rough in our execution at times, so there's plenty of things to improve on.
Coach, do you think it's going to take big plays to beat them, or do you think that if you execute your offense the way you could, you can control the clock and time of possession and beat them that way?
I think it's going to take a complete game. They're a very good team. They're a top 10 team for a reason, and we'll need to play good on all three sides to win these games. To beat quality teams, you have to play good in all areas. But yeah, I think that's what it'll take. I think execution. Part of our offense is that execute, and then get a big play. And the same thing defensively. We need to be much better than we were in week one, for instance, at the basics. And then we have to have our change-ups and all that, but we just have to be better at the basics of the game, and that's position on the football, tackling, all the things we've talked about.
You talk about being realistic and understanding how long this road is going to be. But as you try to build this ththing, how important is it to you to try to steal one of these kind of games? What would it do in year one to find a way to win one of these games you're not supposed to?
Well, we really don't look at it that way, but obviously any win is important. Last week's win was important, and this is our next game, and that's always our approach, and it's boring, but it is. It's our next game, and that's our approach. We're going to approach it the exact same way we approach any other game. We're not going to look at this game any differently at all. I mean, we know it's important. We will practice with that urgency. We will coach with that urgency. But it's the next game up, and we're looking to get better each and every day. And so we need to have a good Monday, to get us in position to get the week started.
Players said they didn't think you would try to downplay the rivalry and call it just another game. Is that your strategy?
Well, I mean, again, our players need to understand that every week is important, and we will be very systematic in our approach, but I'm never going to shy away from a big game in a rivalry. Let's put it that way. We know it's important, but we also learned from week one too. Trying to get them hyped up and amped up maybe wasn't the answer. We have to go about our business to prepare to win.
As you watch game footage of Teddy, does the former quarterback any that you've seen come to mind?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't, again, I don't know. I hate to be quoted on that. I mean, he's darn good. I mean, he's just a very good player. You just see a guy that's very confident. Like I said, I think you watch the games, and we watch the films, of course, and all that, but you could bring pressure, and he eludes it. He's so fast and so patient. He doesn't hurry anything. He plays fast without being in a hurry, if that makes sense. He's very cool. And he's got a very live arm and can he can make any throw, and you could just see the confidence in him the more he's played. They're a very veteran team, though. I mean, again, I've talked about that in here, and I think he'll tell you the same thing. They're very good all around him, and they have a strong line. They have great backs. They have good great wide receivers. I mean, so they really are. They're very talented across the board.
How have you guys become so much more effective on third down? I mean, to go from worst in the country to number 2 this week, what do you?
It's only 2 games, so we'll see. But we've been very good. The places, that I've been in the past on third down, and we need to continue to build our third down package, and I think we'll get better as we go.
Is that because you emphasize it so much?
I think it's a big part of it. It's a big part of it. I went back, I don't know, just my last stop after year 1 and looked at areas where I thought we could drastically improve, and I thought that was one, that it kind of gets into that same mentality of here. It's like, okay, you got to teach them the basics and then, be able to build on your package. And that's always the fine line, I think, early on at a program. How much can they take in, how fast, and how well can you execute it? Well, again, we could design hundreds of things. You just got to be able to go play, so that's where the fine line comes in.
There's so much talk about Louisville's offense. What about their defense? And
Yeah.
do you know their coordinator at all? And are they tricky defensively? Are they a base set?
No, they're very. One thing that jumps out at you right away, they play very confident and very hard. And any defensive coordinator, that's the biggest compliment you could give somebody. When they say they turn on the film and they see a bunch of guys running around playing hard and playing fast, that's a compliment. So that's the biggest compliment I could give them, is that they play hard, they play fast, they play confident, and they're versatile. They're much like I've been in that 4 down. They could get into some 3 down stuff. They could mix it up, and they zone pressure a good bit, but they're multiple.
Vance Bedford is the D coordinator. He's from that Florida area as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's confident and he's fast. What kind of interaction have you had?
I really don't know, Vance. Yeah, I really don't.
Mark,
Mm-mm.
you were talking about how well-balanced Louisville is. EKU kind of made them one-dimensional, shut down their run game, yet they prospered.
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
Eastern Kentucky shut
Mm.
down their run game, and yet they prospered anyway. Is that just sort of what's your?
I think some of that's by choice. You're loading up and picking your poison, doing some things that they could. Some of those throws were like runs to them, in alignments and how they were playing them. So believe me, they could run the ball when they want to. And again, it's a that's football. That's good coaching. From both sides, you're always trying to be strategic in where and when and how you're playing things. But it's a simple numbers game to them a good bit. So you get numbers and they're throwing it and they're taking the easy throws in the bubbles and just different things to complement their run game.
Balance of it, or it sounds like you can't pick your poison.
Well, they make it difficult because, again, going back to my original statement as being a defensive coach for a long time at DC for a long time, anybody that could make you play with numbers, make you bring guys into the box, and they're talented outside, puts you in a problem, puts you in a bind. And I think they do a nice job with that.
Mark, how did your defensive inside, your interior guys, how did you think they played Saturday?
They played much better. They played much better. And I was proud of some things we saw Saturday that we didn't have much practice at, that just systematically we played right, and the guys were more disciplined, like we talked about going into the game.
Do you have any sort of fear, though, that they might go back to the way they were against Western because it's a rivalry game?
Yes.
Guys are making,
Yeah.
I want to be the hero.
Sure. I think there's always that. But I think it was a valuable lesson, and again, we're not anywhere near to where we need to be. But I think we made such improvement that our guys are conscientious enough, and that's our job to coach them that way, to get them to continue to build, and continue to move forward and doing their job. But yeah, I think there's always a fear of some of that, But we'll see. I think we'll be looking for that and coaching that all week to just again, just prepare. All I ask them to do is prepare every day the best they can.
Mark, after the game Saturday, Neil was sort of imploring the fans to fill out Commonwealth this week.
Well, of course, I expect us to have a full house, and I would anticipate there'll be no tickets left by the end of the week, and our fans have not disappointed us yet. So sure, I'll throw out a challenge there to get them there. We need them there, and then it's our job to go deliver and play well. And I think you'll see us prepared to play a great game this week, and you're going to see a team that's excited about this opportunity.